Hey teachers, I wanted to show you some new features that SchoolAI has. Depending on when you're logging into SchoolAI, it will hopefully look like this. This is the newer version. The new interface looks much more like a ChatGPT or a Gemini or just one of those other kind of, I want to say, generic AI programs. So you'll notice it has this little area where it says to ask Dot. Dot is the name of their little assistant. And then the opportunity to create spaces for students, teachers, or staff. There are obviously other things. I just want to go over the basics. The point of this video is to show you how to create differentiated spaces that serve your students with different abilities. Now, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit in just a moment and show you, because what I've done is I've gone ahead and begun the process of clicking Create Student Space, which just takes you to something that looks like this. But then what I've done is I've gone ahead and gone in. It asked me what I want to get started, and I've gone ahead and typed in something very specific. Now, if you want to ask it to put a space that's not super specific, you just kind of give the basic ideas, you can. If you want to, you can say, I want you to help my students practice mathematical functions. I've just introduced the topic and I want them to be able to have several practice problems before moving on to the next topic. That's something you can do. And then it's going to ask you, Dot's going to ask you more questions to get more clarity. But what I've done here is I've said I want you to tutor NC Math 1 students on functions to practice the following standard. And I've just typed out the explicit North Carolina Math 1 standard that I want the students to learn. I want you to format the problems like this. And what I've done is I've gone into the released Math 1 EOC and I've found a question in the Math 1 EOC that tests students' ability on this standard. So this is the standard, this is the question, so that it shows them what I want it to look like. Now, bear in mind in just a moment, I'm going to show you how to create differentiated spaces, like I said, but all of them are going to start with this standard and this format. That's kind of the key thing, so that they're all ultimately learning the same thing. So I'm going to hit send. Dot's going to take it in. Dot's going to ask me more questions. We're going to give her just a moment. Okay. Dot says, great, thanks for the details. Then ask more questions. What grade or age are the students? Any accommodations? Okay, so I'm going to talk about this as well. So we're going to say your students are in the 9th grade and are lower ability students who need significant scaffolding. So this is going to be obviously for your lower level students. Some students may struggle with their multiplication facts, and virtually all of them will frequently get confused by what they are solving for because they rush through the question and or struggle with reading comprehension, which I've seen this struggle with many students on many occasions. I'm going to enter that in. Probably going to ask more questions. Dot has to think about it for a minute. Okay, any specific scaffolds? Okay, would visuals or diagrams help your students? Any accommodations? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, break down the function into its individual parts and patiently help the students work through commonly confusing parts. Okay, now this is where, like I said, what I'm putting in as my prompts are not perfect or foolproof. You can do all these things, and I love how Dot walks you through what might be helpful, okay? I'm not going to ask for visuals and diagrams right now, but it might be helpful for some students later on. That's just something that I'm not doing at this moment, but that's something you might want to keep in mind. So I'm going to enter that in. She's probably going to ask me one more question. Okay. Oh, no, she's ready. Okay, so anything else before I build your space? No. That sounds great. Thanks for building my space. All right. Now what you're going to see is, yep, okay, here you go. They're going to bring up this side screen. This is where things are. Building everything. Gonna pause the recording. Oh, no, I'm not gonna pause the recording. Okay, so this is kind of the layout, and this goes along with this is, you'll see Dot has kind of changed what it is, right? You're a patient, encouraging, and clear mathematics tutor for ninth grade students. It's not exactly what I said, but that gets the idea of what I need, right? Instructions, greet the student as Dot and a patient. Okay, so I will say, and I'm still learning what SchoolAI does. If students log in with their account, it should greet the student by their name. If not automatically, you may need to change that prompt right there. But don't worry about that right now. We're just worrying about differentiation. Again, here's the practice. And this is just kind of going over what it's going to do. Okay, so we're not going to worry about all these details right now, but that's what it's going to do. Now what we're going to do, you can preview it if you want to, but for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and publish the space. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, so it's the publish button is not working, and that's because Dot is asking me more questions, right? So I'm ready to publish. Okay, so now you'll see that blue line has finished up. Yes, go ahead and publish it, please. Thank you. Okay. Again, some of these features are new to me. If you've used SchoolAI before, you know they used to have sidekicks and spaces, or not sidekicks, plural. And Sidekick was their tutor bot, and then spaces were very similar. At the end of the day, Sidekick and spaces were not significantly different. So they've just combined all of it into spaces. Okay, now everything's ready to publish. You'll see the publish button is ready to go. And bada bing, bada boom. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is, one thing I want to do right here before I do that is I want to edit the name. Okay. The only thing I want to edit is the name. Please name the space Jim. You'll see where I'm going with this in a moment. Okay, publish the space again. Okay, I've paused. So I did name it Jim, but for some reason it's not showing up, but that's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and launch it to be ready for students. And this is what students can do. They can either scan that QR code or you can share with them this link on SchoolAI. So you can copy this, you'll send that to them. It'll take the student to a black screen, it'll ask them their name, and it'll begin the tutor session. Okay, so that's really cool, and you'll know this is, and here's the idea. What I was trying to do is I was trying to give you the name Jim. That was going to be for your lower students. Pam was going to be for your on level students, and we were going to make Stanley for your advanced students. That doesn't seem to be working, but we've still got the differentiated spaces. So what you're going to do is, if you're in this situation, is you're going to keep in mind, and maybe store this somewhere, okay, that this link is for your below level students. Now, just real quickly, let me show you something we're going to do to make sure we're ready for the mid students and then upper level students. I'm going to pause the recording for just another moment, then I'll come back. Okay, so now I've created a new space, and you'll see at the very beginning I've entered the exact same instructions. I've entered that this is, you're going to tutor your Math 1 students, this is the standard, this is the format of what the questions look like. That is going to be identical. What's going to change is how we describe the students. So you remember on the previous space, we said this was for on-level students, okay? So now below level students, lower students. Now I'm going to say your students are in the ninth grade and are on grade level and capable of completing these challenges with minimal assistance. It's just new to them. Assume they can do this. They just need some practice to solidify the skill. Okay. Now it's going to take that in, Again, these are on-level students. Now, again, if I were making a third one, and we're not going to for the sake of time, I would say that these students are, oh, how did I type it? Advanced students who are capable of completing these challenges with no assistance. They just want to get stronger and complete more difficult functions as they go, right? But again, that was for the advanced. So now, what kind of, is that the only standard to address? Okay. So you can say focus on that standard at first. But if students show the ability to master it quickly, you can move on to exponential functions. There are no other specific documents at this point. Students are just getting practice. And then see if it asks me any more. Okay, custom insights. Okay, definitely keep track of students who are struggling and may need my assistance. Okay, and here's what it'll do. It will give you insights of how your students are doing. Now, again, I'm going to kind of skip this steps for the sake of the length of the time of the video. I don't want to go any longer. But this is now going to go through all these steps of creating the second space. So now, just like you would send this link to your students who are struggling, once this space is ready, you're going to send that link to your students who are on level. They're fine. They don't need tons of help, but this is a good way to get practice. Then, for the sake, again, for the sake of time, we're not going to do this. You could create a third space, and it's for your advanced students who have really already mastered this and want to go on to the next level. So what you've got is you're using your prompting to create spaces that are differentiated and can meet students at different levels of development and of ability. That way you can monitor, you can walk around in the groups, you can see how the students are doing, you can check on them, but the space is giving them the actual mathematical help or history help or writing help. You can use it for really any subject. But this is a great way to use your prompting in SchoolAI to create differentiated spaces so that you can meet students at their various learning levels.